Tony, thanks for coming on today.
Morning.
Who'd have thought what was it? I think we did the podcast in June that we would be having this conversation now. And the way that things this year have gone, give us your thought on, sort of initially, what were your first thoughts when the country was coming into sort of a lockdown self-isolation state?
I think the UK, definitely, us here, we sleepwalked into it.
Mm-hmm.
We all remember in January we heard about the Chinese thing, and then it sort of tiptoed across to Europe and Italy. What's going on there? I wonder what's happening. Obviously, us being Italian, we were very connected. We thought, is this really going on? And then, of course, it just hit us like a boulder, a meteor at the beginning of March. It was like bush. And it's shocking. Nobody could ever have imagined a country in 2020, a continent of the world, put in lockdown. And this is global. This is not just here. This is not an Edinburgh problem. This is everywhere. And, at the highest level, Stelios, our businesses, they're not the most important thing. Like I said at the intro, when we spoke at the beginning, I feel for the people who are losing loved ones, family, friends, people who are sick, people who've got family working in those hospitals. This is tough. I mean, at a human level, the cost is huge. The stress, the mental health, the emotional things. So, as much as I've got to get on with tidying up our business and making sure everything's cool, at the highest level, I mean, this is a huge emotional and life thing. It's just terrible.
I suppose being both British and Italian, you've sort of, you've got your foot in both sort of camps. And, have you seen firsthand, has your family been safe from this in Italy?
Yeah, well, my parents are in the south of Italy. Most of my friends in Italy are in the south, just past Rome. And, they're in lockdown, really tough lockdown, like martial law. And they've been okay. I know nobody who's been ill. I've heard of somebody who's died who I didn't know, one or two, but most of it in Italy has been in the north, round about Veneto, Lombardia, up beside Milan, Bergamo, Cremona. That's what's taken the hit of it. It's a very affluent area, which is very strange because the quality of life up north of Italy is very good. There's very little unemployment. So it's definitely not a demographic problem. This is hitting whatever. Why did that area get it first? Someone told me it's because of the leather industry with Chinese buyers.
Again, it's anecdotal, but I was told that a lot of the fashion houses have brought over people from China. They then came back from the Chinese New Year, not Christmas, the Chinese New Year. They come back and they brought it all with them. And then apparently that's how it sort of spread like wildfire, apparently.
That's right. Italians going to China, buying all the fashion stuff. Yeah, I would imagine. It has to be for something like that.
And again, and obviously a lot of people in London got it because they went skiing in sort of Italy and then they bring it back. And look, this is the way of the world now. I think people don't realize that pandemics are created a lot faster because of, I'm guessing years ago in the 1800s, it would have took weeks and years because everyone was on boats and ships.
Yeah.
And now it's like I'm 4 hours away on a plane.
Yeah, everybody moves around quicker. Of course it does. Yeah, there's Chinese, Spaniards, Italians, Americans, everywhere.
So one of the things we were talking about before is that obviously my focus at the moment has been primarily on the takeaway side, and they've managed to keep the wheels moving to some degree. Some have closed, but with restaurants, and that's mostly your business, you guys basically just got your closing. You never had much notice. And what sort of decision making sort of comes into play at that speed when you're working at that speed?
Well, the day that it was a Friday evening, we were told to close, but we were preparing for it anyway. We already had a sense it was coming. We were slowing down, and sales had probably collapsed from about the the weekend of the 7th, 9th of March. So it was almost pointless being open because it was dead. There was nobody about. I mean, I've got city centre locations. There was nobody about. Every day another chain was closing for the foreseeable future. So we had an inkling. So we were getting ready for it. And on the Friday night, it was just, strip down, clean everything up. We collected all our fresh food. We brought it down to a food bank down in Leith, the other side of town. We just gave that away. Stuff in the freezer. Staff were obviously mostly shocked because on the Thursday they were told they were being laid off. However, thank God we managed to reverse that and tell them they were going to be furloughed. So that, I think that was good. That gave a good energy. So over the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as we washed down the sites, put everything away, the staff went home happy to a degree. They have to stay safe. Yeah. No one can work in that condition that you might get an illness. I've got a lot of foreign staff. A lot of them are from Italy, so a lot of them knew what was going on. Our sites had to be mothballed, so they're all locked down now. We have security going round it every day. They're monitored 24 hours. Those sites are now frozen.
How does it feel closing sites that I've spoke to you before. I know how passionate you are about your restaurants, that, they're part of you. How does it feel closing those doors? I know temporarily, but how does that play with you?
Emotionally shocking. Honestly, Stelios, it was shocking. The 4 or 5 day period, I was really in bits because it's not just the money and the power and the success, the emotional connection. I've worked in these businesses all my life. I've been on my own, running it with my wife and kids the last 27 years. And, and to see them all being closed was a big shock to me. Waking up in the morning knowing there's no numbers to talk about, it's just what you do every day. It's like not having water coming out your tap.
Yeah.
You're just not used to it. It's such a shock. It hasn't been a shock, and I've sort of got used to it now. Every morning, I've got an office at home. You just sort of get on with it. I potter around. I've got emails galore. Keeping in touch. I'm using a lot of the Teams software and Zoom. I like to see people. I've used FaceTime like never before. So you just have to make the best of it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's vital that everybody's safe and well. The business will have to reopen. I can't wait. That's the biggest stress, the uncertainty of when. Yeah. We need the green light.
So the government, the UK government, have given all this money. Does that work exactly the same in Scotland where it's been devolved? Are you getting exactly the same? Or is there anything slightly different, would you imagine?
Well, the staff is exactly the same. They've been given 80%. I know there's grants for £25,000.
Okay.
But we only qualify, I think, in one of our sites because it's only up to rateable values of £51,000 or under. A place like Bertie's, for instance, the rateable value is 110,000.
Oh, okay, wow.
Vittoria on the Bridge, 127. Favorita's 64. We don't qualify for any of those grants.
Wow.
Now, but if you work out the grant of 25k, if this is a 90-day period from mid-March to June, by the time we all get back to normal, that's only 250 quid a day, £270 a day.
Yeah,
that's not going to fix your business.
No,
and everybody's in a different boat. A small business, a takeaway. My sister, for instance, to a degree, she's actually quite relieved to get a bit of a holiday. Small businesses to a degree want to stay safe, get a bit of a holiday, stay home, and get bigger businesses, SMEs. This is tougher because they've got staff. There's the usual debtors and creditors ledgers. They're wondering, nothing coming in, and everybody wants paid. It's not easy. But 250 quid a day is not going to make much of a difference.
No. So have you had some, obviously, I take it you've had some difficult conversations with people, whether it's banks, whether it's suppliers and so on and so on. How are they all feeling about this?
Yeah, I mean, the bank, I've got a good relationship with them. I've not had to ask for support yet. I keep an eye on what the government are saying with these loans. My instinct tells me, remember, normally you only borrow money to grow.
Yeah.
You only borrow money if you want to expand, become more efficient, or make more money. You don't borrow if you see your sales are going to decline and you've got to pay debts.
Yeah.
That's not the normal way. If you have to, you have to. But getting a 12-month loan of how much it needs repaid. Now, like I said to you, we're a marginal business. It's hard enough to make those margins just to stay afloat normally, to break even and make a bit of money. If you then stick in some debt, well, someone's not going to get paid, because if you're paying the bank, you're not going to pay somebody else.
Yeah.
This is tough.
So you obviously, as a restaurant business, you've lost probably a quarter of the year, as per government guidelines at the moment, if they don't extend the restaurant closures. And then obviously you probably lost a month before that as well, because like you say, March was a bit of a write-off.
Yeah, March was 10 days of proper trading. Yeah. The rest was just rubbish.
Yeah. So, do you see that after this, there's going to be a steep hill to climb after this?
Yep, no doubt about it. Anybody who thinks that's not, the UK economy is going to be in contraction. It's not. We're not in growth. Less tourists, if tourists will come here at all, and hospitality works on tourism to a degree. Now, you could say the staycationers, the UK economy, people who would normally go abroad might say, oh, we'll go to Edinburgh, we'll go down to London, because everybody wants to get out of the house when we go back to normal. But a lot of business owners will have to focus on their business to get back up to normal. A lot of employees might have spent their savings. A lot of them will be out of a job. A lot of them have taken pay cuts. So I can't see all this, everybody's having a good time. It takes time to get to where you are.
My cousin, he's in Cyprus, and he's got a rental car business for tourists, and they've written off the whole year, if not the most of next year, because they've realised that who from England is going to go to Cyprus on holiday, for the next couple of years. Yeah, it's just inconceivable. Yeah. So I think England does have some benefits in some ways, as in the UK, shall I say? Whereas I think Europe itself might be sort of hit harder in some ways.
Yeah. This is everybody's going to feel pain.
Yeah.
Remember, if the government keep throwing money at everything, they're going to bankrupt the government as well.
Yeah.
Because they're a PLC to a degree, aren't they? So if they give all this money, when is it going to get paid back?
Yeah, of course.
When are they going to get back to deficit, austerity, and cuts?
Yeah.
And what happens? People are going to be laid off. School trips will be cancelled. Cuts, and these are customers in our shops as well.
Yeah.
A bus of kids won't turn up outside your chip shop because the school won't be doing a school trip because they've got no budget.
Yeah.
This is going to hit everybody. It's going to be a good couple of years to get back to normal. To get to 2019 trading, I honestly think it'll take a couple of years. I have that instinct.
It'll be interesting to see the unintended consequences. I think something like Bertie's might come out the gate stronger than your other sites, in my opinion, because I think it's British food, it's fish and chips, it's probably people trust it a little bit more, if that makes sense after all this.
Yeah. But I don't see why the Italians who wouldn't. Pizza and pasta would not be affected, but there's just less people about. But fish and chips, everybody loves fish and chips. It's affordable. Remember, if people have got less money, they could probably, and they want the experience of a restaurant or a treat. The good news is that fish and chips, pizza and pasta are affordable.
Yeah, they're value drivers, aren't they?
They're not luxury. Everybody wants a treat. So people who might never normally be able to come to Edinburgh on holiday will be able to afford it now, because the hotels will be cheaper, travel will be cheaper, everything will reset. Yeah, so you might have a different holiday maker coming.
Massively.
I think so.
So if the government obviously advised restaurants to start opening, do you think, well, obviously we still got to wait for some time, but when they did sort of say close, were you a bit upset that they just said close? Or do you think they should have ramped it down a little bit, take out half your tables? And because they did sort of just flip that switch pretty fast, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it can't be easy for them either. I sympathise to a degree with any politician nowadays because he makes decisions on the hoof. No, I think closing is better than working at half capacity.
Yeah.
Because your running costs are still there. The momentum of the business. However, when we reopen, it might have to be that smaller business that's less staff, almost a different model.
Yeah,
smaller, profitable business than try and run a large one that's not going to be profitable. You cannot have. We have 240 staff on the books. Yeah, I'd love to say I'm going to re-employ all 240 when we reopen. I think there'll be a bit of disappearing as well. A lot of our kids will want to go back home, visit their parents. They've not seen them for a while. I can see the stress. We keep in touch with some of these WhatsApp groups. A lot of them are worried. They've not seen their parents for a while. They've not been able to go home. I think the first thing a lot of them want to do is go and give mum and dad a hug, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it might, we'll probably have a bit of, staff will just leave, go back home, and then come back.
I think a lot of people are probably going to be taking stock of their life and their situation after this, and and I think they'll be, do I want to be in Edinburgh when I'm from Italy or Spain or wherever? I think it'd just be resetting everything. Yeah,
everybody's looking at the walls now, thinking, this is a line in the sand in life. Change direction, different sectors, change. Call it a day. I spoke to a supplier the other day who said, I've got a whopping creditor ledger, and I've got a whopping, slightly bigger debtor ledger. And he's 56 years old. And he said, so should I borrow some money to bridge the gap? Because if I pay lawyers to chase the debtors, or I have to defend myself with the creditors, do I want to borrow money that will take me the next 5-10 years to pay back? Should I just call it a day? This guy's done very well in business. He said, you know what, I just want to hand the keys back to the landlord and call it a day. Because he doesn't know what to do next.
Sad story, isn't it? That's a real sad story. Would you say that any sort of company or organisation that you deal with have been surprisingly helpful, in all of this?
Yeah, I think I've got a bit of asset finance in the business, banks, they've all been very good. They automatically, no one's written anything off, unfortunately. They've all deferred. So the can's been kicked down the road.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay those bills. So it's not disappeared. No one said it doesn't matter. You could skip the April payment. We'll just add it on at the end. So, the VAT deferral, I unfortunately paid my VAT at the beginning of March. So that was due. So we paid the VAT. So our deferral, we have no sales. So we can't actually defer anything.
Do you think that the VAT deferral could be quite tricky for some people in a year's time? Because I think a lot of sort of businesses struggle with VAT as it is.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden next year, and I know they've got plenty of notice, but they're going to have double the amount to pay.
Of course. And they've all spent it.
Yeah.
Getting out the hole, you have spent that money.
Yeah.
You either borrow or really cut back. Or put the prices up and become more profitable. It's going to be tough still. So everybody has to look at their business different. So I think every business is different. Depends what point in time they are and what size they are.
Yeah.
A small business, you might be surprised. They don't pay a lot of VAT to begin with, and they've got the cash in the bank. They'll have paid it anyway. It won't matter.
Yeah.
But bigger businesses, which are the bulk of the UK economy, the 20 staff and above proper businesses, that are part of the economy. Well, deferring the VAT, it still needs to get paid.
Yeah,
and we all know it's tough. It's tough it is to pay the VAT at the beginning. In the first place, this is a marginal business. We don't make huge profits. You know,
Yeah.
my suppliers take a third of my turnover. My staff take another third. Yeah, operating costs take another big chunk. The EBIT is not massive.
No. Lots of tough decisions for a lot of operators, I think.
Yeah.
At this point, everyone needs to be really sitting down and looking at a few different business models moving forward. And if it's the same business model, that's fine too. But I think they need to be looking at all the costings.
Yeah. You have to make proper decisions, be realistic, say, right, shall we be a smaller business that's profitable? Because if you just think you can just gung-ho and as if nothing had happened, it'll bite you at the end, because those debts will always be there. And you can only catch up with debts if you have growth. But if you're in contraction, you're not going to catch up with the debts.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's going to be difficult. And I've got a handful of scenarios. I just need to think. I want to pay everybody and keep everything going, but it's bloody stressful.
Yeah, I get that. Well, Tony, thanks for your time today, mate. I know how stressful it is for you, and but we will catch up soon, and hopefully,
keep smiling. As long as we're all safe and well, we'll get through this.
Yeah, as long as
God bless.
Thank you, man. Be good.